I thought this was pretty funny and interesting. So the movie Pandemonium, right? It was the Vince McMahon movie project that was started around in about 2017. It was like, did you get a chance to look at the movie script that was out back then?
Is this the one that Cornette and Last would read on their podcast?
Yes, yeah, one of the
Oh
greatest
my
episodes of
God, it's so
audio
bad.
ever.
It's
Yeah,
so bad. Like
they
it's got,
they they had
oh
the
my
quote
Lord.
from they had the and I'm doing the quote with my fingers. They had the quote from Linda McMahon in there saying, "Look, the girls love Bob Backlund, but Hulk Hogan makes them want to do butt stuff." That was in the script. Like Linda McMahon would ever say anything like that. Uh,
Had
so
had
funny.
Vern Gagne as essentially a mafia talking about putting hits on people and stuff like that. This was like one of the worst scripts. And I had lucky enough to read a bunch of scripts just because of where I
Yeah.
going to college and stuff like that and working in the business for a brief time. Like, so I've read a bunch of scripts. This is the worst thing I've ever read. It was so bad. This, I think, I joked at the time. I think Vince bought this specifically to kill it.
Yes, yes. I think so too. So it said it was in the works as far back as 2017 and only going to be made with the involvement of WWE Studios, hence why McMahon his say mattered. Bradley Cooper was once attached to the movie to play McMahon. And the quote from one of the people that made it said, "So yeah, we're on a very long list of people who got fucked over by Vince. I think Vince was right to fuck them over on this one because that was really bad, and they were using their real names and telling stories that were just completely fabricated. Now, if you want to make up something about the world and use Vince McMahon as kind of like your idea world, I think something like that could work. I think a mini series about the wrestling wars from the early 80s
Hell
would
yeah.
actually work. But you make them into like if you have Vern Gagne as a mafia don, like remember the Lapsed Fan, a podcast that was going out, like Ole Anderson could be the Southern Mafia don, like they're putting hits on people. You just crank up the fabrication a little bit, but just use different names. I think stuff like that could work. I think somebody needs to write a script for a wrestling show about the wrestling wars from 1984. I think that would be awesome. They should have done something like that, but instead they made up complete bullshit and they used everybody's real names and nobody was going to go for that.
First of all, I'd love to see a TV show or something based on Tim Hornbaker's Death of Territories book.
Yes.
A realistic look at something would be great. Would make for a phenomenal documentary. Problem is WWE owns all that footage, so it never happened. So yes, that would be great. Mike, we have a saying on this show that I think is apropos here. Vince isn't always wrong.
Yes. No, he's not always wrong. These people think they were fucked over. Look, you guys submitted some bullshit and Vince rightly killed it.
Here's the thing, too. In order for Vince to have gotten a hold of this, he had to pay for it. So you, in fact, did not get fucked. You are, my friend, you joined a long list of people who had a movie in development that never got greenlit. There are millions of projects like that. Welcome to Hollywood.
So the people that were trying to make Pandemonium created a new show called Rabbit Hole with Kiefer Sutherland. So on their tour to promote Rabbit Hole, they were asked about this, and they're still pretty upset about it, obviously. But that thing was never going to work out.
No, probably got a lot of people sued too. So
yeah. No, change the names next time, dum-dums.
Yeah,
but I would love a Death of the Territories documentary, based off of that book. But then like a completely fabricated scripted show, a la The Sopranos, about the wrestling war of '84. I think would just be tremendous. Like Netflix needs to make that show happen right now.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
Yes, absolutely. Next up, AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery, they're finalizing a deal for a third weekly wrestling show. So on Saturday's edition of Mat Men, Andrew Zarian reported, my buddy Andrew Zarian,
your friend, yes.
Yeah, we're good friends now. Reported that AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery are closing in on a deal to add a third AEW show to the schedule, similar to Rampage, that would be an hour-long broadcast. While the official particulars are unknown, Zarian recently tweeted a hint that led people to believe it would be on Saturdays at 6:05 p.m., the previous day and time of WCW Saturday Night on TBS. He cannot confirm that. However, and then on We're Live Pal, he had a similar mannerisms. He kind of said it without actually saying it on that show too, all but essentially confirming that it's very likely a Saturday night TV show at 6 o'clock at least. So coming to, he didn't say TBS, TNT, he wouldn't say the network, but it looks like all signs are pointing to, one of those big channels on Saturdays. What do you think, JD?
When I was a kid, I watched every show WCW put out: Saturday Night, Pro, Worldwide.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else they did. Main Event on Sunday
Mhm.
nights. I watched
So did I.
WW. I watched Superstars. I watched Wrestling Challenge. I watched All American. We didn't get Spotlight in Chicago, so I never watched Spotlight. Watched Raw, prime time before that. So like in my like middle school years, I was watching a ton of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have the time in my life to watch a ton of wrestling anymore. That is not their problem. If they're
No.
getting paid, if they're getting paid to create a third weekly wrestling television show, be my guest. Go make money. Ensure the fact that we have it, because I like this promotion a lot. Ensure the fact that it exists and continues on. I don't gotta watch it. I haven't watched Rampage in months.
No.
I don't watch Rampage. They don't care about Rampage. So why do I care? Why do I care about Rampage? Like, it doesn't, like, people like, how am I supposed to watch this? Don't.
Yeah.
I bought Ring of Honor. I bought the Honor Club for a month to sample it. It's been a fun show. Am I going to get it next month? Probably not. Probably not. I didn't watch it tonight. I had amateur wrestling on. Am I going to squeeze in the time to watch it this weekend? Maybe. I'm a dad. I got work. I got stuff. I'm not going to be able to watch it. Does that mean they shouldn't do it just because I can't watch it? No, I'm not a selfish piece of shit. Like a lot of people who are like, how am I supposed to have time to watch this? Well,
don't. Yeah. I will likely never watch the show unless they put something on there that really like has my interest, right?
Agreed. Yes.
But same with Rampage. Like I watched early Rampages. I haven't seen Rampage in over a year. I've seen some Rampage matches because I got the TNT app and like someone says, hey, watch this match. And so sometimes I'll go to the TNT app and I'll watch the match. But I just ain't got a whole lot of time because look, not only am I married, I got a job, I got a kid, I have other interests. I like to go to the beach. I like to go on hikes. I like to work out. I like to watch movies. I like to watch other things on television, so I'm not very likely to watch the show. But of course, like you said, JD, does that mean they shouldn't get it? They shouldn't do it? No, they should do it because they're probably going to get a lot more money. Now, the only thing that'll upset me is if this show takes away from the quality of Dynamite. Now, that's where I'm going to be like, okay, you got to cut the shit out. But so far, Dynamite is still like the best weekly show on the air right now. The quality is always very good. They have a couple of stinkers here and there, but every show does. So Rampage has not affected the quality of Dynamite because they don't care about Rampage. If they're just going to treat this show like Rampage, have fucking at it. I ain't watching. Enjoy. A lot of people have that kind of time. I ain't got it. Enjoy.
So when Raw and Nitro started their whole ascent to being what we think of them as, I stopped watching Superstars.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Livewire. I didn't even watch Saturday Night because they became redundant. Why? Why should I have to watch those shows? Like, everything good happened on Nitro and Raw. Yeah. So that's pretty much where we are. Now, that's their problem, not my problem, right? Mm-hmm. And as far as Rampage goes, I've been to 2 Rampages. One was one of the most celebrated hours of professional wrestling television this century. One, I don't remember what happened. And I was there. I know Darby Allin was there because Andy went crazy. I don't remember the match. I don't remember who won. All I remember is my kid was happy for 5 minutes. Yeah. The other one was the return of CM Punk. That was great. Like, that's what I'm saying. This is where the show has come. We've come from the return of CM Punk to what's on the show this week. Who knows? Does Tony Khan know? I don't know. He didn't tell me. Right?
They're at the era of Rampage where Tony Khan had to advertise that Moxley and Jericho and MJF and Bryan Danielson and all these people were going to be there live at Rampage in the Cow Palace on Friday night to sell tickets, and not a single one of them showed up, other than Jericho, who was on commentary. That's where Rampage is at now. They have to pretend like people are going to be there just to get people to show up in the building. Unfortunately, those people just don't show up.
But it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? They don't show up because
Yeah.
none of the star was it 13, 14,000 people showed up for the return of CM Punk, right? When
Yeah.
that happened. Like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. People don't show up, so they don't have the stars. They don't have the stars, so people don't show
Yeah.
up. Like,
If you
vicious,
if you
vicious
if you
cycle.
tell me something's not important, I'm probably gonna believe you.
I 100%. And he's
Yeah.
telling they have this they have a very toxic relationship as far as Rampage goes right now. I think the show should be scrapped and rethought because
Yeah.
it's not working. That's my personal opinion. People are like, oh, Tony Khan's gonna burn out. I'm like, no, he's not. Have you seen Rampage? He puts no effort into that whatsoever. You can't burn out in something you're not
Yeah.
trying on. Like,
So let me get your opinion on this because
I
Zeri, I talked to Zarian and Garrett on their show this week, and I have my opinion. So I'm curious JD's opinion.
well,
Why do you think that this third hour is not Ring of Honor and just another hour of AEW?
because I think the Warner Brother Discovery is a part owner in AEW and not a part owner in Ring of Honor.
That's it. We've talked about that before because my opinion was, well, Ring of Honor was a dead brand. Unless they're going to call it AEW presents Ring of Honor, it doesn't really have the same cachet on television. Ring of Honor was never a successful TV show, so I don't think it would be a success on a Turner property either. But if it's AEW, then it's a success. That was my thought. But you're all in on this ownership thing,
Mike. Why was it a story that Tony Khan bought this on his own? Didn't he own AEW on his own?
That is true. Yeah.
I think that Warner has a small stake in
Mm-hmm.
AEW. I've heard this from other sources, no one that I know, just rumor speculation. They've paid for AEW. They're going to screen AEW, right? Even though it's the same talent, right? That's my thought, is that Warner says, no, we bought AEW, not Ring of Honor. And like you said, probably some fact that the brand doesn't mean anything to Warner.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do they say?
It was Ring of Honor probably would not work as well as anything that was affiliated with AEW. It was kind of like the conclusion that we all had come to. So, and that's my thoughts. Yeah. But I do think it's very, very likely that Time Warner owns a piece of AEW, which is why they're going to try to leverage that, because unless you're making a ton of extra dough off of these TV shows above what you normally could put in, like, the time slots, I don't know why you would increase the amount of different shows, but I think if you own it and you have the ability just to create more content with the property that you own, you do that. That way you're not licensing other content, spending extra money to get that. You know what I mean?
Otherwise, the show would have been AEW and then Ring of Honor. I said that on the when they first bought the company, or when Tony Khan first bought the company a year plus ago. I said, just call the show AEW Ring of Honor. Then it becomes like Rampage, right? There's a reason why that did not happen, because it makes sense. Mm-hmm. So Tony Khan made this a separate purchase for reasons. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not a great businessman. So I don't even know quite why, but I believe that's why we're where we are.
Well, I like it, man. We need a conspiracy kind of like we need a conspiracy intro. Well, no, like, you know what I mean? Like a look, you run a school that does this stuff. You need to come up with one.
I don't run a school that does this stuff.
Well, you teach a class.
Yeah. I do teach a class for that. We need like the X-Files theme music or something like that.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That was actually Doctor Who that I just did there. But yeah, that's what I think. I think that Warner probably, there's a reason why. Because again, nobody asked the question of Tony Khan is, why didn't you go outside of Warner Brothers to sell Ring of Honor? Right? Nobody asked it. The answer is, I didn't want to piss off my partners.
Yeah.
Right? When we're negotiating a new contract. But
remember what we talked about last week with Vince and Spike? You don't think so?
But no, I don't remember what we talked about last week. You have to remind me.
Remember when Vince was purchasing WCW?
The exclusivity. Yeah.
You think there might be exclusivity with WBD, but nobody really knows about it?
I do think that, Mike. Ooh. I do think they have an exclusive.
Yeah, man, I wish I had a good memory because I would timestamp this shit, and then like when it does happen, just clip it. Like, look, we've been saying this shit for weeks.
I've been hitting the head a lot, man. I don't remember what we talked about 10 minutes ago.
All right, let's go to our last story so we can call it a night.
Cool.
The Great Muta in the Hall of Fame. I believe we talked about this here months ago because of the deal with Shinsuke Nakamura going to wrestle Great Muta in Noah. I think this is really cool being inducted by Ric Flair. Obviously, Sting would be better, but Sting works for AEW, so you can't get Sting. So Ric Flair inducting him. There is a big history there. One of the tapes that I used to rent all the time from the video store was, I believe, Halloween Havoc.
Oh yeah,
Hold on. Halloween Havoc 1989 in the Thunderdome cage match. It was Terry Funk and the Great Muta versus Sting and Ric Flair. Sting was like just swinging off a vine on that fucking thing. It was so awesome. I'd like modern day, like if you go back and watch it, probably not that great of a match compared to what you see, but I loved that match. I loved everything about it. That was my introduction to the Great Muta. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time, going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Everybody knows WWE Hall of Fame is bullshit, but guess what? I like the fact that he's being celebrated on a huge stage, so fuck it.
Controversial take. All Hall of Fames are bullshit.
Yes.
Every single one of them is all bullshit. So someone will not be getting his Observer Hall of Fame ballot anytime soon. So yeah, do you know who the special guest referee was in that match?
Oh gosh. Hold on, give me a sec. Bruno?
Yes.
Yes, I got. Oh, damn, I'm
Bruno
good.
Sammartino.
Been a long time. Yeah.
Do you remember? Okay. Do you remember the stupid ass overbooking? Like how you had to finish the match? Do you remember what they did there?
I don't really remember.
Okay,
no.
so you only could win the match or you could only lose the match if your designated Terminator threw in the towel. And for the for the heels, it was Gary Hart, and for the baby faces, it was Ole Anderson. And this great wild match, Muta had to put out a fire because it was an electrified cage, and some shit went on fire. So Muta, spur of the moment, sprints up the cage and mists the fire on. People thought it was like, oh, that was, but no, it actually happened. They actually had a fire because WCW is fucking dumb. No, so the match ends when Ole Anderson pops Gary Hart and the towel goes flying. And
yes, I remember.
What a cheap! You talk about me bitching about Macklin and Josh tonight. What a dumb fuck ending that was to a pay-per-view.
Dusty's booking.
That wasn't Dusty. That wasn't Dusty.
Dusty was in WWF at the time.
That's right. He was being the common man.
So Flair was booking at that point.
Flair was booking
in '89.
Post because George Scott books the beginning part of the year, like the Steamboat stuff, which is actually awful booking. If you ever watch the TV, we remember those matches as being legendary, but the shows were kind of bad because George Scott was suffering from Alzheimer's and trying to book a promotion. And then
they didn't sell that many tickets for those matches either, by the way.
But they didn't try. Like they didn't advertise the Superdome show. They had to fill the Superdome and didn't advertise the Clash. WCW. Flair was booking at this time in late '89.
Terrible. But yeah, the Great Muta, one of my all-time favorites, Keiji Muto, who just recently retired.
It's gonna be great. I wish Sting could induct him in the Hall of Fame. I wish that things were better because Ric Flair is going to make it all about Ric Flair, whereas Sting would make it about Muta, right?
Well, Sting has dignity.
Sting does have dignity. Sting's a class human being, and Flair is, just going to talk about Ric Flair for 20 minutes and a couple of Muta stories. And there's not like there was this great like four-way feud in WCW in late '89 where Sting was feuding with Muta and Flair was feuding with Funk, and it was just great stuff, just absolutely great TV. And Flair and so Gary Hart's managing both of Muta and Flair, or Muta and Funk, and it gets all intertwined. So it wasn't like Muta and Flair had the rivalry; it was Muta and Sting had the rivalry. But Flair's there, and Flair. Didn't Flair and
Muto have matches in
they
Japan? Did. Yeah, and who did Muto defeat for the NWA title? Because he had the title. Chono, that's right. Okay. Chono beat, I want to say
Chono beat, I want to say Muto in the tournament final. Because okay, so late 92, get ready for some nerd shit. In late 92, Watts had started conversations again with the NWA board to reactivate the title specifically as a Japanese title and a title that could exist between WCW and New Japan because they had that working relationship at the time. So Chono becomes the first NWA world champion. And then Muto wins it in early 93, just after Starrcade, because this is after he won, because Muto wins Battle Bowl 92. which is the very
Right.
end of the year. And then do you remember who Muto lost the NWA world title to?
I do not.
Barry Windham.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this was at the time between 92 and like 96. North American pro wrestling was on its ass, but New Japan and All Japan were doing really good. They were on fire. So WCW did a lot of business in Japan, just because they were drawing tons of money out there.
That was the peak of my fandom, was like 93 to 95. Like this was when I was consuming so much wrestling. I think I'm in middle school. Yeah, I'm in middle school at the time. So I'm just loving wrestling. So yeah, that's when Barry Windham finally got the NWA title. And then I believe he lost to Flair, ironically enough. So yeah, good. It's going to be interesting. I think it's good time to let him in the WWE Hall of Fame, because I think there's enough people who are fans of WWE now who might know who the Great Muta is.
Yeah, because there's a lot of they have the network, right, and they can go back and watch a lot of the Great Muta stuff and stuff.
So here's a question for you. Here's a question for you. Does Muta make an appearance at Mania?
On the stage, yes, but I don't think that they're going to let him do anything physical, because I just don't think they're like they don't have mark doctors there. They actually have like legit doctors in WWE now. So where you have to actually pass like a real physical, and I think that was the reason why he wasn't in the Rumble. I think they would have loved to have him in the Rumble, but he just couldn't pass a physical. So,
are you saying Noah has mark doctors, sir? Expect to have an email in your box soon.
I'm actually not saying Noah at all. I was more referencing AEW's doctors, but Muto can kind of do whatever the hell he wants in Japan. So
Muto didn't have a match in AEW, did he? He just came out and did an appearance.
No. But I've been making jokes about AEW's doctor recently.
Fair.
Yeah, and their drug testing and just other stuff that people don't want to talk about with AEW. Fair. So I just been kind of making fun of them. So,
yes.
But yeah. So, maybe he missed somebody. I don't know. Does Nakamura have a big match at Mania? I'm going.
Asuka does.
Asuka does. She's doing the Mist. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering. If I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope if he does, I hope it's on Sunday, because that's the day I'll be there. So.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting you're actually going to go.
Yeah, I will be there Sunday night, April 2nd. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. I'll be in the house. It's going to be a huge match. So. Looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to this show next week, man. And I think we've said it all this week. So until next week, mahalo.